Firstly, congratulations to Lockjaw on winning the Alpha Season 6 League tournament. Secondly, thanks go to Lockjaw for these fantastic artistic iterations of the real-world WTC tournament's table layout designs. Please go and subscribe to his 18 map workshops, linked below, and give them a thumbs up. Also, thanks to Lockjaw for approving my making a oneworld version of his map pool and linking it through his workshop. I believe the oneworld mod program is part of the future direction for TTS online tournaments, even with the large amount of time it takes to create and then maintain it. For example, my having to update 40 assets each time Lockjaw updated his 15 maps. I believe it is part of the future for tournaments, for the benefit it provides for streamlining W40K games, until a better program or mod comes along. Before we continue, links in the copy of this video script can be found below if you want to get into the mod or read more quickly than hearing me. If you don't want to listen first to me discuss briefly why I've made this mod, jump forward to
1 minute mark
for why you want to use this mod. I made this mod for several reasons. I had a great time in 2020 playing many matches of W40K on TTS. In September I won a very small pod tournament with a lot of luck and a very strong list that fulfilled my serious games completionist drive, and I joined the W7F Crusade large group on the same server as Alpha League for more casual games, where I discovered MMZ's ancient map pools and wanting to give back to the community for the fun I had had over the year. So far, I commenced sorting and updating many of them for 9th edition, and also by thematic styles for the W7F narrative planets, a process that took about 50 days of real-life interrupted work to complete. That was meant to be the end of it, but then I decided I also wanted to branch out from that work to also contribute to making games better for the LFG 2K Strike Force players, which after almost another 2 months in unison with my discovery of the oneworld mod resulted in my GT Strike Force Missions 9 mod pack. Once again, that was meant to be the end of it, but before I finished the GT pack work, I learned that the turnover rate for new players for Alpha Season 6 from Season 5 was going to be extremely high, to help new players in getting into Alpha by streamlining parts of the tournament event, and hopefully thereby reducing the amount of questions that people would need to ask, and removing the chance of people playing on the wrong WTC maps. To assist them in finding the correct maps in GT missions and selecting the correct ones for their dice results, all inside TTS rather than requiring checking externally for information. Since then, I have kept the mod updated during Season 6 with a few issues I noticed and informed Lockjaw of that he quickly fixed, which I then also updated in the oneworld version. I've also made a narrative crusade mod by request of organisers on another server, even though I was really overworking on modding by that point, which I ended up having to run myself because I didn't want my narrative mod pack not to get used when the organisers themselves were unable to run the narrative campaign they had set up for 30 people. In the last month, I built my first real-life tournament-based PDF map pack from the same people who do WTC, this one being called Wayland Yutani. And finally, I made this mod to fix some more issues in the Alpha League maps and implement a solution to a problem the organisers thought unsolvable, as well as one I do not believe they have foreseen. This mod, for Alpha Season 7, takes you through the entire process of playing your matches beginning to end inside TTS without having to Alt-Tab to check the primer for which maps to play and what to roll to select them. A oneworld version avoids the possibility of people using the wrong maps, which happened in both Season 6 group stage and finals. It collates all the maps into one workshop, so you do not have to search the multitude of results that come up from a WTC keyword search of workshops you may be subscribed to, in order to find the correct one for what mission and table you rolled. Instead, an Alpha 7 search giving you only the correct result in the form of the oneworld, which you additively load onto the table base you wish to use, and which you then simply click through the buttons with directions described or shown in this video. GT mission, roll your 2d3, whichever one you roll, bring it up. Once you go to the mission page, roll a d6 to determine map to play. So by simply clicking through the buttons until you reach your correct map and mission card for what you rolled, which is one less thing to have to reference elsewhere. However, also desires us to use the 19cm large objective circles for all streamed games in this Season 7 of Alpha. Although the primer document has not been updated with any information on this, and as he stated he believes it impossible to make these markers flush with the table, I have solved this by manually vertically fixing all objectives on all 48 of the map mission table combination pages through my oneworld version for this tournament. As shown here, these markers will introduce problems with knowing where the borders of terrain are or where the borders of the objective are, depending on how high and low you put them. Same deal with some of the ruins that they go through. At the moment you can see the end of that, but in other locations when they're over here, it makes it harder to know where the exact borders are for your terrain. So to fix that issue, I also went an extra step to give these objectives 3 states, which I tried to pass along about a week ago to address and solve another unforeseen problem. They're overlapping with area terrain, causing issues with where these area terrain ends and the objective marker begins and the normal map begins. So I know you can right click it to see it. Whenever you bring a model in, to select that model, this gets unselected. So you have to remember exactly where those edges are. Here there's no shadow to help you with that. Same deal with the when it's a forest or woods with an objective marker over it, which does not have any shadows above it to help. And also with Lockjaws maps, the shadows are not always directly above because of the sunlight markers, which feel free to remove if you don't like. Simply delete. And if you don't like the lighting it changes to, adjust your lighting as you wish. So, my objective markers fix this issue and help speed up our Alpha League games, which will be extra important when people are on clock on stream, by having the markers in 3 states. So you can see the edges when placing your models. This mod, linked below as Alpha 7, marks my deviation from making Lockjaw's untouched maps available as one workshop in the oneworld asset to having many small quality of life improvements implemented myself. If you want Lockjaw's untouched maps, subscribe to the older Season 6 workshop, this one, which I have kept updated with all his map updates, including the addition of the 6th table for Season 7, also linked below as Season 6 link. Number 1, removing vertical disparities between mirror location ruins, mainly the ones near objective markers, as well as making them as flush with the table maps as possible to help with the objective markers issue. Flush. This one, which was already a lot closer. Number 2, made all the vents on table 1 and 4 identical mirrors of each other, rather than having differences between flat and 0.2 inches. This is just a very quick, far less accurate example of how I fixed up the vents. Number 3, pulled several ruin bases out of the ground where buried. There's them there. There are a few others. And number 4, This one was a shock to me. We played the entirety of Season 6 tournament with a non-mirror map, with 2 pieces of terrain in the wrong location at one end, but not the other. And no one noticed it until I did this weekend, towards the end of completing this very consuming piece of work, while placing the new objective markers, only happening to spot the error with a glance, noticing the differences in distances between this ruin and the vents. So if my math is correct, on average 16 games should have been played during Season 6 on this map, and who knows how many in the other tournaments that have been using it since last September. The issue is not major, it didn't make any difference to any game results, but it's still a difference in a tournament that's supposed to be using mirror maps. But the annoying thing is not that it existed, but that no one was able to notice it and report it. The fact that seemingly very few people have been reporting errors back to LOCKJAW besides me. As a fellow mod maker, it is both disappointing and infuriating. Volunteers give so much back to this community, it sucks that so few people offer to help modders alpha test their work and double check their measurements and other things for them. This Alpha Season 7 mod is not currently endorsed by the Alpha League management team, which is why the mod features my logos on the objective markers, not the Season 7 red Alpha League markers as last season I was asked to remove the nicer blue logos from my mod. However, in regards to any concerns you may have about the legitimacy of using this mod that deviates ever so slightly to improve user experience from Lockjaws maps in the Season 6 mod, with this Season 7 mod, there is precedent set by the Alpha team that using other tables is acceptable as long as it is the same 2D design table layout and agreed to by both players. If the Alpha team decides they want to use this asset for streaming games, I can change my objective markers logos to those of the Alpha League Season 7 logo with probably several hours of work. I hope you all have a great Season 7 of Alpha League with many close games, and I hope you find my mod helpful and beneficial. Thank you for your time. Just in our post-editing, I thought I'd show a quick example of the secondary problem with the new larger markers, how they've been implemented, how models trying to be partially on them, partially off them will be extremely tilted, the issue that I've resolved individually fixing all 48 possible map mission combinations by altering these heights of the structures and these markers to be as flush as possible with each map mission combo.